Von Lewis graduated in 2010 with a BFA Musical Theatre. Since graduating, he has worked at various theme parks, resorts, regional theaters, and on cruise ships and touring show gigs. He also produced and performed his own shows at various venues, restaurants, cabarets around the world while living in New York, Los Angeles, and other parts of the country. Most notably, Von has performed live before the concerts of Jimmy Buffett and Maroon 5, performed alongside of Kate Flannery from The Office, John Wells of Gilligan's Island, America's Got Talent winners Lando Eugene Murphy Jr. and Sal Valentinetti, and from The Voice, Maya Sykes. He and his wife most recently performed and headlined their duo act, Lewis and Clark, at the Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood, California. Von's TV credits include appearing as Billy the Kid on the Fox Network's Legends and Lies doc-drama series. He played a principal role as Ray Price in the Sony Pictures classic I Saw the Light opposite of Tom Hiddleston, of Avengers fame. Most recently, Von Lewis was showcased as Bobby Rydell in the Academy Award-winning Best Picture, Green Book, a Universal Studio and DreamWorks picture. Von is now based in New Bern, North Carolina, where he and his wife frequently produce their own review shows and perform as their duo act, Lewis and Clark. They have toured their act in Australia, Hawaii, and all over the country. Next week, they will be performing with Lando Eugene Murphy Jr. at the Downtown Music Festival in Gadsden, Alabama. After watching a short clip of Von as Bobby Rydell in the Green Book, please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker to the podium.
Hello, New York. I'm Bobby Rydell, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you all for coming to see us tonight. It's Saturday night at the Copa. We think you're going to have a great time tonight. We're going to do our best to make sure of that. As always, a very special thanks to Mr. Jules Conan for having us out. Let's get started. That old black magic has me in a spell. That old black magic that you weave so well. Those icy fingers up and down my spine. The same old witchcraft when your eyes meet mine. I love them so, yeah, let's sing. I have a red heart. That fate had me created for, and every time your lips meet mine, oh magic, yeah, because of my oh yeah, love that thing, oh black magic,
Thank you so much. Wow, this is really surreal, to be honest with you. The formalities, I guess. Welcome, friends, families, faculty members, graduates, class of 2019. I wrote hold for applause there. I was hoping that would happen. Most of you, before I guess the clip showed, you're like, who is this guy? Well, I'm sorry to inform you, but Sandra Bullock couldn't make it today. So they called me. Giving a commencement speech here is not something that I ever imagined myself doing. When Jamie asked me, I'll admit I was a bit scared, a bit worried about taking on the task of inspiring you all today. Most of you don't know who I am, and I don't know most of you. Some of you I do know. But come to think of it, we do know each other. We are the Pirates of ECU! Hey! Pirates are resilient. They are strong. They roll with the punches, and I have seen it in my classmates all over the country in some parts of the world. Take Tyler Griffin, for instance, who's writing and directing huge shows all over the country and parts of the world. Malcolm Armwood on Broadway in Hadestown. Give him a... They just got 14 coming on there. Jasenia Ayala on Broadway and now cast in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story movie. Jeremy Woodard on Broadway. Marisha Wallace, who's now in Waitress opposite of Catherine McPhee on West End. And there are plenty others not just on the performance side of things. But we Pirates are tough. We are hard workers, and I know you possess those same qualities. Because you have the same grit and the same drive and the same passion. Our school is very special in that way, that it molded us in that way. But now time for the cold, hard facts. I know you really liked where I was going with that Braveheart style monologue, but trust me when I tell you, the performances and experiences and moments you had in here will be like nothing else out there. Not saying that this is as good as it gets, but that you are in for a ride, whether you like it or not. What do you mean, you ask? Well, let's start at the very beginning. Thank you, it's a disease, I know. So at the beginning, they say to you, to become successful, you must practice your craft for 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell. Or, it takes 10 years to build a good career in any industry. I don't know who said that, but you've likely heard it. Well, one of the reasons why I was invited here today was that perhaps I could inspire you with my success in the industry in the few short years since my graduation. Now I stand in front of you today 9 years since my butt's been in your seat. And I say that not to brag by any means. Some of the people I mentioned before have reached their successes in far fewer than 9 years. And I celebrate the heck out of my fellow pirates' successes. Nonetheless, I'm grateful to be here today, and thank you for choosing me as your speaker. And maybe I can share some of these lessons that I've learned with you. 9 years ago, I was in your seat. All I cared about that graduation day was that I had accomplished something big in my life. I was the first in my family's generation to graduate with a 4-year degree, and I was proud of that. Also that day, I was excited to celebrate with my friends later that evening after my relatives left the graduation party. You know what I'm talking about. 9 years ago to today, so I guess I'll share with you 9 lessons I've learned on my journey thus far. And no, none of these will be hangover cures. But the themes and lessons will be universal. So whether you're graduating today with a design and tech degree, theater or dance education degree, acting, stage management, dance or musical theater performance degree, or any other degree, you will find something in this speech that resonates with you. So we begin. Let me pull my pants up. Here we go. Number 1, make a strong choice. I'm sure your teachers or mentors had you do this, but when I was a senior, Michael Tahaney made us write up a 5-year plan. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Well, that was hard. I had no idea where I was going to be in 5 years. I had several different drafts of this plan, and at the end of each one, I said, Broadway. That's where I'll be in 5 years. Boy, I had no idea what was ahead of me. I eventually turned in my 5-year plan with an A or B route split. One was to marry my girlfriend at the time, and the other was to break up with my girlfriend at the time. After a few years. Maybe. Oh yeah, and they both ended with Broadway. Looking back, I realized that Michael's point in this wasn't to map out our lives specifically, but to actively ask the question, where am I going? Where are you going today? After celebrating today, what are you going to actively set your sights on accomplishing? Now don't worry if you don't have an answer to that right now. And know your answer will change. And that you will fail along the way, and that is okay. But ask yourself where you are going day by day, so that you know how your choices will steer you. So when you do fail, you can get back up and keep heading in that direction of your goal. And remember the saying, strong but wrong is better than no choice at all. Right? Thank you. I know John would be proud of that one. Okay, number 2, you're going to like this one. Broadway is not the only way. Did I make it to Broadway like my 5-year plan stated? No. Did I break up with that crazy girlfriend? Heck yeah. After graduation, I worked for a summer contract at a theme park in Maryland, which has enough stories for the class of 2020. After that, I moved to New York City. Well, I can't really say I moved. I loitered in New York City. I slept on various friends' couches and floors, auditioning, trying to find a day job. Even the Chili's in Times Square would not hire me. Auditioning some more, trying to find a sugar mama. That didn't really work out. And more auditions. I had a journal that I kept my audition schedule in, and one month I filled that sucker up. I had auditions every single day, some multiple times a day. And I had some really good auditions, got some callbacks, really great feedback, some of the best feedback I've ever had in my life from directors. But sadly, I got no phone calls or emails telling me I'd be cast in Cats that summer at the Amish Barn Playhouse. Every guy I'd see at auditions looked and sounded just like me, in black slacks, a black vest, and a bright colored t-shirt or button-up shirt singing Corner of the Sky. I was great, but so were the other guys. Nothing was working for me in New York City, so I made a decision. I was 22, and I moved home. What do I do now, I asked myself. Well, I missed that year's UPTAs, so I looked to get a job waiting tables, and I was miserable. One day while clearing my section, I thought, what can I do in this town to make money that isn't waiting tables? I had an idea. I could sing in this restaurant. So I asked my manager if I could set up and sing on a slow night just for tips. Well, the night went well, and I was asked to come back again and again, and I found more restaurant gigs because of that, and I was getting just enough work to leave waiting tables. I was making money in my field because I chose to make it happen. Just in time to get a phone call from my good friend Jacinia. Which brings me to number 3. Sometimes the best door is a doggy door. 2011, I was singing at a restaurant when the phone call came in. Someone had dropped out of a show, so Jacinia referred me for the part, and I got in. I packed my car, and I was there. My first regional theater job. And I got it not because of UPTAs. By the way, for those parents who don't know what UPTAs is, it's not a new text slang or app or something. It's actually an audition convention where you get 60 to 90 seconds for a chance at paying back your student loans. Anyway, I didn't get a job because of that audition convention, and I didn't get a job because I was living in New York City or LA. So that brings me to number 4. I want you graduates to do me a favor down there. I want you to look around you. Go ahead, do it. Look at the people you see in this room. Remember them because you're going to need them, and they will need you. Even more after today. Even if they're not in this room, maybe a class above or below. Always number 4. Help each other the best you can. Stick together and be there for each other. I got into a doggy door that just opened for me because of a friend. True, I still had to prove myself to the appropriate people that I belonged in the room, and after all, my friend did stick her neck out for me. So it would be wise of me to show up and do the work and honor that. I had a wonderful time that summer, but nothing lasts, so on to the next job. Where? UPTAs again. Number 5. A job can do more than just pay the bills. This time, I came to UPTAs to spy out a job with more utility. I had stopped the idea that all I wanted to do was just perform, but focus more on my goals and where I was going. I always wanted to go to California, so maybe move to Los Angeles and give that a try. Why not get paid to move there? I looked up on the UPTAs website. There was only one theater that came from California. The Great American Melodrama, located 3 hours north from Los Angeles on the Central Coast. I came up with a plan to work that summer, buy a car, and move down to Los Angeles, and that's just what I did in 2012. I connected with some more fellow pirates in Los Angeles and moved down, sleeping on various couches and floors again. But not before too long, I had my own room. And a bed, finally. And now bills. Lots of bills. Which brings me to number 6. You can't sit on the couch and wait for karma to come knocking on your door. Because of that stress I went through on various jobs just to pay the bills. On my off time, I lounged on the couch, or slept the day, or skateboarded down Burbank Boulevard, classic California, right, Blake? Well, I had unfortunately lost sight of the idea of finding a job with utility to help me with the next steps. I held various jobs. I was an usher at the ArcLight Cinema on Sunset Boulevard. I demonstrated and sold Mr. Stickies in grocery stores. I worked stock and inventory at David's Bridal. I worked the bar and sold William H. Macy a couple of beers. I needed to make another doggy door fast and bring karma to me. So number 7, celebrate your successes. I got off the couch in Los Angeles in 2013 and headed back up the Central Coast to get back on stage. This time in a small production of Dog Sees God at a friend's small black box theater. And it was there later that summer that I had the courage to put up my own show that my buddy Tyler Griffin and I wrote together. A two-man musical about a has-been crooner on the verge of a breakdown and his last remaining band member. I recall sitting in the dressing room one night before the show, stressing out all over the lines and if the show was good enough or not. Tyler forced me out of the dressing room and walked me down to the theater's marquee and said, "Look, you see our names are up there. We're doing something that not a lot of people our age can say they have done right now. That should bring you joy. Besides, if there's anywhere to flop, it's here in an 11-seat black box theater in the middle of nowhere, California." And he was right. In 2013, I learned to celebrate my successes, big and small. Number 8. Self-education is self-preservation. Coming back to Los Angeles after the run of our show, I had a mindset change. That and I was going deeper and deeper into credit card debt. So I started reading books about personal finance, show production, script writing, whatever I could just to stay mentally strong and sharp and forge through the noise in Los Angeles. I got another call from a friend, this time Tyler Griffin. He was offering me a job as an artist in residence at the famed Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia. I took it and I was extremely grateful for the steady job and housing. And with this mindset change, I knew the job would get me out of debt. So I packed up and I moved out of Los Angeles in 2014. In the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, I still had my film agent of the last 10 years, and I'd always been submitting audition tapes, landing a couple of commercial or pilot gigs here or there. But I got work in a few documentary series while in West Virginia, and all because of someone I knew from doing shows in Los Angeles. That gig led to another, with another company, then another company, and I landed the Billy the Kid role on Fox. At the same time, I booked a role via audition tape in I Saw the Light, and I suddenly had a realization. I was in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. I was getting more musical theater work in Los Angeles than I ever did when I was in New York, and more film work in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, than in Los Angeles. So that brings me to number 9. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're happy where you are. Here's some parents. Agree with that? And boy, was I happy there. Another singer that was also hired for the West Virginia Resort was Abby Clark. We joined our shows together and formed Lewis and Clark, a vintage musical duo act, singing love songs one after the other. Something's bound to happen. So we got married in 2016, left the resort job. Thank you, you can applaud for that. We left the resort job, worked on the cruise ships in Hawaii and Australia, touring our acts. And then we relocated to New Bern, North Carolina. While building and growing our audience there for our brand, I booked another audition tape, which is what you saw up there. I was showcased as Bobby Rydell in an Oscar-winning movie. I'm very grateful for that. And who would have thought? But my greatest adventure is yet to come. Abby and I are expecting our first child in July. And that is as we continue to perform and tour and celebrate our successes. Now to close, I'd like to add a 10th lesson to leave you graduates with, lesson that I'm still learning today. Define your own success. Don't wait for anyone. Don't let anyone do it for you either. And don't be asked. Don't wait to be asked. Graduates, you're doing this today already with the closing of this chapter. So as you start this next chapter, stay true to who you are. Write the pages of your life with a fiery passion and unashamed flair. And make sure your ink is purple and gold! That got me out of it. Good. East Carolina University School of Theater and Dance Class of 2019, congratulations and thank you for having me.